What's going on, Jerome's? There are 2 weeks left of training camp / preseason, and we're starting to see some shifting. We're starting to see some stratification of who's going to make the rooster, who's going to make the practice squad, and who's just going to be out. Now, we got 10 Vikings and well-known names that could be on the bubble in terms of if they make this team or not for a myriad of reasons, and we'll get into all of them. First up, number 1. Running back kick returner King Kene Nwangu. Now, this one hurts because King Kene is the best kick returner in the National Football League. Frankly, should have been back-to-back first-team All-Pro the last 2 years, but argument for another day. Now, he's been dealing with an injury that's kept him out for the bulk of the last 2 weeks, and he's sort of fallen behind in the running back 3 competition, although they have been searching for some potential free agent acquisitions, taking a look at Kareem Hunt and Mike Davis, etc. But for King Kene, I mean, the problem is that the league has essentially neutered the kick return, and I don't know what's going to happen now. Or is he going to be healthy enough to contribute week 1, or is this going to be something that lingers? Is this going to be something where he makes the initial 53, gets put on IR, and is shelved for a handful of weeks? I don't know. I don't know. But I think that the shopping around of some of the veteran running backs, it's more than Kwesi just doing his due diligence. I think there is some legitimate concern about King Kene's injuries right now. Next up, number 2, running back Dwayne McBride. Now, Dwayne McBride, Blazer, the pride of UAB, college rushing champ, came in with a lot of hype, and he hasn't hit that spark, quite yet, where we haven't really seen that carry or that play or that whatever where it's like, hey, that's the guy. He's sort of struggled in the preseason game. He's sort of been whatever during training camp practices. He was just an absolute no as a kick returner, and I do think that beyond King Kene's injury, I do think that McBride's performance, as well as Abram Smith's performance in the first preseason game, is the reason why they're taking a look at Kareem Hunt and Mike Davis, etc. So I think it's pretty clear. It's Madison, it's Ty Chandler, and then it's everyone else in that running back room as of right now. Next up, player number 3 who's on the bubble, wide receiver Jalen Naylor. Now, this is a little bit surprising, especially since Jalen Naylor, last year's 5th-round pick out of Michigan State, he played really well during OTAs and mandatory minicamp when given an opportunity, was absolutely awesome in the first training camp practice, and then he's been out ever since for going on 3 weeks now, and Kevin O'Connell said that his injury is tricky. Tricky. But the Vikings wide receiver competition, it rolls on without him. And guys like Jalen Reagor and Brandon Powell and Lucky and Tristan Jackson have frankly performed very well. Thayer Thomas thrown there as well, and N'Keal Harry as well. So, I mean, even though Jalen Naylor is a draft pick of Kwesi and Keaton McCardle stood on the table for him on draft night, day 3, could be slipping. It could be a spot where Naylor's injury could have him end up on IR, maybe even on the practice squad, but I don't know. Just really sucks, especially how good that he looked during the offseason. Next up, player number 4 on the bubble, Blake Prohl. So Prohl has been given opportunities over the last handful of years. He is coming back off that torn ACL, but same thing with Naylor. It just turns into a numbers game because even though Blake Prohl is stepping up, you do have guys like Jalen Reagor who's stepping up, also has a fully guaranteed contract. Brandon Powell has caught the eye of Kevin O'Connell and Wes Phillips. Both of them know him from the Rams days. Lucky Jackson, Tristan Jackson is healthy back out there. Thayer Thomas has stepped up. N'Keal Harry, you can't ignore with his first-round pedigree and the different skill set he brings to the table. So it's an uphill battle. It really is. And beyond Jefferson, Addison, KJ, I mean, it really is a roll of the dice of who is going to be on the 53, who's going to be on the practice squad, and who is going to be out. Next up, player number 5 that is currently on the bubble, tackle for Darian Lowe. So last year's day 3 selection out of Illinois was on the 53 all last year. Yes, is a Kwesi draft pick. Yes, is a Chris Cooper, Wes Phillips, and Kevin O'Connell draft pick, but I don't know, mixed returns so far. So he played the full game at left tackle during preseason, did allow 4 pressures and a sack with sort of whatever run blocking as well. And yes, you are going to have these ups and downs. But I don't know, like if the Vikings want that backup, if they want Lowe to be that backup tackle, they want Blake Brandel to be that backup left guard. I don't know. And Brandel did fill in for Darrisaw last year. a little bit iffy, putting it kindly, but I do think Brandel is probably better suited on the interior, even though he's a tackle by trade, and it would be ideal if Lowe steps up in that backup left tackle spot, as Oli Udoh is holding it down at the backup right tackle spot. Now, this still has Jackie Chen on there. That hurts. But, the Vikings have been bringing in just a gong show of backup tackles. Jared Williams, Christian DeLauro, the new guy, Okorafor as well. So, I don't know if Darian Lowe's spot is secure. Or at minimum, his 53-man spot is secure. Over the defense, number 6. So Ross Blacklock. So the Vikings traded for him last offseason, right before the start of the year. The former number 40 overall pick coming out of TCU. And it's, Kwesi loves the Mama I Can Change Up players, a high draft pedigree that haven't worked out quite yet. But again, it's sort of a numbers game at defensive end because you got Harrison Phillips playing a lot more 4-5 tech with Kairos Tonga stepping up. And then you got Dean Lowry, the free agent, Usazy stepping up year 2. Jonathan Bullard, who's re-signed and is playing well. And then you got the rookie Jaquelin Roy when he gets in there. TJ Smith plays all along the defensive line. So it could be a spot where it might be tough for Blacklock to secure a roster spot or even a practice squad spot. It's going to be kind of crowded along the defensive front. Next up, player number 7 on the bubble. Zoom in and enhance. Number 7, Troy Dye. So I understand what you're saying is that the Vikings linebacker room, it's a little bit thin, but you got Hicks, the veteran. You have Asamoah, who hopefully is going to be coming back from injury soon. You got Ivan Pace Jr. who's lighting the world on fire. And now you just signed Tanner Vallejo. So it's going to be tough. And Troy Dye is in a contract year, but he's not a Kwesi draft pick. And remember, Troy Dye spot started when he was a rookie and second-year guy during the Kendricks, Barr, Eric Wilson years. But he hasn't really differentiated himself. And he is a solid special teamer, but so is Pace Jr., so is Vallejo. So is Troy Reeder if he makes the team. So it could be tough for the Vikings to justify his salary, which is not guaranteed, which they can move on with Troy Dye. Next up, number 8. Patrick Jones second. Now, I don't think that he's in danger. I really don't. But looking at the edge rusher room, so you got Daniil, Davenport, and you got Wanham. I think those 3 are your top 3 solid, good to go. Patrick Jones, I think, has some work to do, as well as you got Andre Carter II, who stepped up really nicely coming off a pup. You got Luigi Villain, who had himself a big-time game in the preseason against Seattle. So that's 6. I mean, are they going to carry more than 6 edge rushers on the 53? It's going to be close. Also, you do have Curtis Weaver, who had himself a nice game in Seattle as well and isn't going away. Junior Aho is probably going to be on the practice squad. So, I mean, Jones is like Wanham, where he's a middle-round pick of Spielman. So he's not necessarily a Kwesi guy, but I do think that he does have talent. But if it comes down to it, I hate reducing things down to, hey, this is my guy, that's your guy. Andre Carr II, Kwesi UDFA. Luigi Villain, Kwesi UDFA. Patrick Jones the second, third-round pick by Spielman for a handful of years ago. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Who knows? Next up, player number 9 on the bubble, Andrew Booth Jr. Yeah, I said it. Where there's a lot of ego involved with GMs. And Kwesi, even though he's an analytics guy, he's human. And Booth Jr., that second-round pick, which the Vikings traded up for last year, but it hasn't worked out due to injury. He hasn't worked out when he's on the field and healthy, and it could just be a numbers game at cornerback because Murphy and Evans are starting. Blackman is obviously making the team. Joejuan Williams is probably going to make the team, so that's 4. Jalen Williams is making a big-time push to make the 53. Najee Thompson is making a push to make the 53 as a special teamer, and do you carry more than 6 cornerbacks on the 53? Or do you have Thompson or Williams on the practice squad and keep Booth on the 53 just to save face? Do you have Booth on the 53 and then you revert him back to injured reserve? He misses 3 games and then you go from there? I don't know. But, I mean, Booth, when he was on the field last year, struggled. Booth, when he was on the field in the first preseason game, we got to see more. We got to see more as of right now because Kwesi does have an ego, and it would suck to give up on such a high draft pick so soon. But also, I don't think Kwesi is the type of guy who's going to throw good money after bad. It just sort of is what it is. Lastly, number 10. Let's get spicy. Safety Lewis Cine. So Again, same thing with Andrew Booth Jr., but amplified. Because are you really going to toss aside a first-round pick after 1 year? No, especially one that had that horrific injury in London, working his way back. He's looked good in training camp, but we need to see more in that preseason game, especially a guy named Stacks getting knocked on his rear end. Nah. But interestingly enough, even though I do think the Vikings will carry 5 safeties on the 53 for the first time in a decade plus, I think Theo Jackson is making a big-time push to make this team. I think he is. Now, I think that it's possible, actually more probable, that they let go of Jay Ward and try to get him on the practice squad, get him through waivers one time versus Lewis Cine, former first-round pick. I think he would be snatched up right away. But he does have to step up. And Harrison and Bynum Metellus are your starting 3. Theo Jackson's going to work in there as a special teamer. Jay Ward, same thing. But, I mean, Cine's got to be seen. He's got to be seen, man. He's really got to step it up in these next 2 weeks of joint practices and 2 preseason games. Now, I'm not saying that he's in danger, but I'm saying he's not in danger, if that makes sense. Oh, there you go. Anyways, that's 10. 10 Vikings on the Rooster bubble. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.